Hello and welcome back to another review of me, Kevin, from Kevin Grant on Whisky. This week we've got the Old Perth from Morrison Distillers. As you can see, the last of it is in here. There's a tiny wee smidge left, but we can deal with that later. So this is the Old Perth cask strength blended malt whisky. So it's all malt distillery. There's no grain in there. It's all malted barley, and this is sherried as well. So trying to find some stuff on this is quite difficult. They don't give too much away. I think they don't want you to know what's in there, which is absolutely fine. It's all about the quality of the whisky itself. So what we have here is kind of rebranded. They did have this before in an old bottle. I think it was one of the first videos I actually ever done on my channel, and it was more just about the history of the Old Perth and not much of a tasting. So I've been able to get this bottle, and as you can see, I've really enjoyed it. So we'll talk through it a little bit here. I've got some facts and figures. I've been able to maybe narrow down the distilleries that the whiskies have maybe came from. So this is Old Perth blended malt whisky, 58.6%, matured in sherry casks, non-chill filtered, natural colour, everything that we want. Quick topic on it as well. You'll find it for probably £40 or less. You know, it's a £40 sitting there for cask strength, non-age statement, but the quality's in there. So the colour of it we can see, I'll just show you quickly. It's dark, it's rich, it's got a nice hue to it. It's very aesthetically nice. I think the bottle's stunning too. I really do like it from the previous bottles that they have. I've actually got an old kind of Carmore bottle there as well. So we look at Morrison Distillers, what they do, they have a portfolio which I've got here of the Carmore bottlings, which I've done quite a lot of. I do really like them as an independent bottler, Morrison Distillers. They brought out the Mactala, which is their peated range from Islay, and also the old Perth. So they've got a good range, and I think this is a great whisky. They do this at 46% as well. And if I was to say to someone to get a whisky that would maybe be slightly different, but get them involved in whisky instead of buying your supermarkets stuff, you can pick the 46% up, non-chill filtered, natural colour again, sherried, Old Perth for less, you know, maybe £30 or so. It's a no-brainer for me. But I've just never done a tasting on it. I just know I like it. I go back to it, I enjoy it. So let's go into a little bit of history. Let's see what I've been able to find out before we get the nose in this, before we get it on the palate and decide, do we really like it or not? Because I'm really bigging it up here, so hopefully, I've not had it for a while, so I'm hoping it's not maybe died off on me here in the bottle. So at one point in time, Perth in Scotland was the blending capital of the world. There was loads of distilleries and everything there. Then it died away and it was a forgotten whisky city. No distilleries were around. The closest that we've got to there now, I think, if we look at Tullibardine, which is kind of south of Perth, you've got Glenlivet, not Glenlivet, the famous grouse and things there as well, like Glenturret, are round about, but nothing right in there. So these guys, known for the distillery itself as Aberaggie, I'm not too sure how I'm pronouncing it yet, opened up in 2017 to be single malt on their own farm from the Tim Morrison and Jamie Morrison, who were part of Morrison Bowmore at the time, came over and thought it's time to make our own single malt because they're hitting the world so well with independent bottlings, and I can really see that and get behind it. So we look at this bottle and all it tells us, to move on to my next point, is it's the finest sherry matured malt whisky specially selected to honour the birthplace of blending. And all we're able to see on the back is it's from the Glenlivet region. So I went on the map, I've sat and I've been able to pick out distilleries close to Glenlivet in a certain circumference, not too far. So I've been able to find, you've got Glenlivet, Altavane, Balmeenach, Breval, Cragganmore, Tamnavulin, Tomintoul, Tormore and Ballandalach. So it's going to be whiskies from certain distilleries here. If I was to look at it and think myself, I'm probably going down the Tamnavulin route, the probably Ballandalach and potentially Tormore, maybe Breval. They would be my go-tos for it, just for kind of looking at what they do in blending senses. So you've got all these distilleries, we don't know what it is. Is it going to be Glenlivet? I doubt it. But you never know, there could be a little bit in there. So that's something I would love to find out. I'd love to know. I have asked the question, I've messaged someone from there. from Morrison Distillers to try and find out if they'll give me any answers, but if not, it's all about the whiskey. So as we say, this is 2017 they've opened up. Old Perth used to be owned by White Mackay. When in time they've went to them, Morrison Distillers have went to them and says, can we buy that from you? We've got our own thing they want to do to bring blending back to Perth. So this was a whole thing, and this is something they really enjoyed, and it's really took off, price point and quality. But enough chat now. I think we've got enough kind of information there. There's nothing much more that I've been able to write down and find on this. It's quite difficult. So I'm just going to get in. I'm going to nose it. I'm going to try and get some really good tasting notes. I've got some water here. I think it's going to need it. But let's go for this. We'll get it on the nose first. So nice colour, long legs here as well. It is rich sherry notes. It's kind of like gummy sweets, like gummy bears. I've definitely got a kind of gummy bear note to it. Cherried, kind of cherry flowers. It's very kind of sweet flowers. There's something else there. There's something else that I can't pick out just now, which is maybe a bit different. Maybe because it's been in there for so long, there's something slightly changed. But gummy bears, like gummy sweets, cherried flowers and floral. Does it smell like 58.6%? No, it smells lighter than that. It would deceive me. Right, let's try this on the palate, see if we maybe get some more flavours and notes from that. Slange everyone. Okay, so there's the kind of the 58% coming in for sure. Spicy, a lot of spice going on. Really coats the mouth, really coats the tongue. Salivating here that it's a nice spice. It's a kind of cinnamon hit to it. There's a tiny bit of hot pepper, which I think when the water goes into this, it's really going to open it up and give me more. So I'm going to add a little bit of water. Very sweet and everything on the nose, picking up some flavours that way, but on the palate, it's a spice. So it's sweet and spicy. Maybe the water could potentially balance this out now to be a more level plain whiskey. Let's see. Okay, so a wee bit of funk now, I would say, like a soft, that kind of little Dunajy warehouse going on. Nothing too extreme, but there's a little bit of funk in there. That cherry flower note just wants to hang around. It's the kind of the gumminess is worn away from it. It's very floral, aromatic. Cherries, it's leathery as well, slight leather note now too. Maybe that's what I was missing earlier on. Cherries, leather, flowers, aromatic, gummy bears. That's the nose. Right, let's try this in the palate now with this. A little bit of water. Kills off the spice a little bit. It's not really got that kind of fiery spice anymore. It's staying a bit more cinnamon, a little bit of cardamom. And I think maybe because I've already had that first sip, it's not as salivating anymore. Like this is the first dram I've had today. So when you're starting at cask strength, it can really catch the palate off guard. Sometimes it's good to start like a wee 40%, 43, and then build up to something like this because you're just kind of hitting the palate strong and doesn't know what's hit it. So it's really calmed down for me. And I think that's just having that first little sip. But the spice is gone. Yep, that little bit of funk still there with all those sweeter notes. Maybe slightly dry too. Coming at the end there. slightly kind of dry wood, but it's still got the sweetness it does. It's sherried, it's good sherry, it's not overly powering, super dark, it's balanced out unbelievably well. So from whatever distilleries they've used to get the malt from, to vat it all together, to bring us this is phenomenal. And this gets brought out at different ABVs each year. This is a 2021 bottling, I'm sure, as well. So if you read, so this is what it's got on the back here: delivering a robust, earthy palate with powerful ginger and cinnamon spice is our main things here. Full bodied aroma. So spicy, I definitely get that. Ginger, robust, earthy. I don't really get the earthy note, but maybe that's that slight dunnage note I'm getting from it. I really enjoy it. The price point's good, £40. This is finished. This is probably going to get put back on the shelf because it's an easy to reach for whiskey. It's good for people to come round as well, just because it's the accessibility of it is really, really good. So a recommendation for £40, something different, cask strength. This would be it for me for sure. Really, really enjoy it. This is my last I've got left of it. So if you've been tuned in for long enough now, you know what's going to happen next. I'm going to go and sit back and enjoy it. And if you've just joined the channel, thank you so much for joining in for some weekly content. Just make sure if you're watching it for the first time, hit like, hit subscribe, leave me a little comment. Let me know if you've ever tried this and what you think of it as well. I'll be putting wee posts up on my socials too. But I'm going to go and sit back. I'm going to go and enjoy the final drink here of my old Perth and get ready for a quiet day, quiet afternoon. And then next week is the Whisky Festival. So if you see me there, make sure you come up and tap me on the shoulder. It'll be good to have a chat with you all and get to see the comments, who are leaving the comments from around the world, and maybe see you there. But as always, I've been Kevin from Kevin Grant on Whisky. Join me next week and let's talk whisky. Slange.